Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you all. Welcome. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I, Cindy Monroe, will make the motion to approve the agenda.
I, Christy Mock, will second
Oh,
that.
boy. All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do we have any resident comments and or questions? Bruce? Yeah, valid. Non-resident questions? No reports, public hearings. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve of the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. No unfinished business. Mr. Merrick, 9.1, preliminary levy.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In your packet for consideration is Resolution 14017 certifying the 2018 preliminary levy. The Council has had a series of workshops and discussed the general fund budget. If you recall, we talked about it for years past, that the preliminary levy essentially sets the ceiling for the tax levy throughout the course of the fall. We'll be reviewing the budget and looking at any changes to policies or services that the council wishes to, but this preliminary levy that is in turn submitted to the Carver County and then used in preparation of truth and taxation statements. Each of those statements are mailed to, each property owner within the city and throughout the county, and then is used as basically a kind of a public hearing notice to notify them of the proposed tax impact to their property. So the city's truth and taxation hearing would be on December 4th. So just a brief overview of, or high level of the preliminary levy that's contained within Resolution 14017. One component is the debt service levy. And so here on this graphic, you can see the debt service levies for the city. We verified these numbers with Steve McDonald of Abdo and also reviewing our debt service schedules. You'll see the biggest significant change from 2017 to 2018 is the Downtown West street construction project. Excuse me. And so that's the project that we're currently undertaking right now. It's $103,628, and so that was a significant piece over your 2017 levy. So then adding up the general fund levy. So the general fund levy, as we've discussed, and there's additional materials in your packet, but the general fund levy funds police services, fire services, public services, administration, building inspections, parks, and so on. The water, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer are funded under, separate enterprise fund budgets that have revenue sources via monthly utility bills and development charges, etc. So the general levy is funded 80% through property taxes. The general levy is 80% of the city's operations. There's 20% in permits, fees, and charges, but property taxes makes up 80% of the general fund revenue. So you can see the total levy that's being proposed is $2,369,873, which equates to a 9.2% increase over 2017. Based on the tax capacity numbers provided by Carver County, each year they provide the city with an Excel spreadsheet that has a pre-populated formula. One piece of note that's fairly significant is the city's net tax capacity has increased significantly over 2017. So even with a 9.2% increase, your estimate shows that you're reducing your tax rate. So how that works is, so we've been using throughout several projects, talking about a $300,000 valued home. Last year, the city's average value home was about $271,000, but we've been using 300,000, so based on previous tax rates, or the tax rate in 2017, and then the anticipated for 2018, you'd see a $58 decrease. Now, one of the things, and here's a chart that shows that, but as you can see, the county goes through and does a market value adjustment every year, and so for the most part, and there's, depending upon the neighborhood you live in and maybe the improvements that you might have done to your home, on average, a property owner would see a 6.57% increase to their market value. So a home that was valued at $300,000 last year would probably, in most circumstances, be valued at $319,710 in 2018. And so if you look at that, same property taxpayer, based on what we see on our estimates, we're figuring that the proposed taxes based on the 2018 preliminary levy would equal a $36 increase for them. Those are the kind of the two scenarios. And again, we can, as we get updated numbers on insurances and different projects, we can refine these numbers. And again, this essentially sets the ceiling, and then in December, you adopt the final budget and set the final tax levy. So in your packet is a summary of the general fund budget, along with line items for both general fund revenues and expenditures, as well as the resolution 14017 on the preliminary levy. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So in essence, this is our not to exceed.
Correct.
Does anyone have any questions? Would anyone like to adopt a resolution or make a motion to adopt resolution 14017, certifying the 2018 preliminary levy in the amount of $2,369,873?
I'll make that motion.
There's a motion.
I'll second that.
There's a second. Any other discussion? Questions? Nothing. Not to exceed.
Not to exceed.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Who would like to commend you, Mr. Merrick, and staff for putting together a great budget again, making the process very easy. Thank you. We are now moving to, well, Ms. Nash. Oh, Liz. Oak Tree.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Bell Atlantic. Sorry, I just wanted to say it out loud.
Before you this evening is a rezoning and planned residential development in resolution number 141-17, along with a preliminary plat proposed to be approved by resolution number 142-17 for development that's being known as Oak Tree. It consists of 200 lots. The plat that's shown on your screen, north is actually to the left, and County Road 11 is on the top side.
Yeah, why is that?
That's how the engineer put the plat together. It fit better on the plan sheets.
Oh.
And Dahlgren Road is on the right side of your screen. The or you can turn your piece of paper
I don't
around.
need to do that. I'm configured. Sorry.
That's okay. The development is being proposed by Hartman Communities, and Terry Hartman's here to answer any questions that you have. But he's only taking it through preliminary plat, and then Cal Atlantic Homes would be bringing in the final plat in phases for this project, and they would be doing build out of the entire site. What they are proposing is color-coded on your screen. So 35 of the lots are villa lots that are 55-foot wide. They're quite a bit wider than the version that was seen by the Planning Commission earlier this summer. There was a change in builders while we were reviewing the plans, and some redesign of the plat to accommodate not only the change in builders, but also to address some cost overrun issues with some grading concerns. The second area of the plat is outlined in green, and that contains 60-foot wide single-family lots, and then the balance of the site, which is another 100 lots, is outlined in blue, and that would be 65-foot wide lots, and again, there's 100 of those. The project is proposing connections to several existing roads. From the north side, it would connect in with Hartwell Drive as it is coming back past Carver Station and Carver Crossing. And so the trail network will be extended through that area with that direct connection up to the elementary school and Carver Station. The road that's within Edgebrook, that's within the Copper Hills plat, is also being connected through. And then connections are being made down to Dahlgren Road, as you can see on the right side of the screen, as well as to the current intersection of White Pine Way and County Road 11. The intersection with 11 is an item that has been reviewed back and forth with Carver County Engineering quite a bit, and this is a schematic of what we think that intersection will look like once this goes back through final plat approval. This intersection hasn't been engineered yet. It's just laid out here as a concept, but you can see it would add northbound and southbound left turn lanes onto County Road 11, a southbound right turn lane into the development as well, along with associated turn lanes on the west side of the development inside the project. And again, Cal Atlantic Homes will be the builder of the project. This is just a sampling of one exterior of each of the three different types of products that they're proposing in this development. The one on the left is the 65-foot wide single-family lots. The one at the top is an example of what one of the villa homes might look like, and the one at the bottom right is one of the 60-foot wide single-family lots. And Tracy Rust with Cal Atlantic Homes is also here to answer any questions that you might have. And with that, I'll take questions or open it up to them if you'd like for them to speak.
Yeah, if you guys have a presentation that you'd like to put forth, otherwise, maybe we can ask some questions if people have them. Come on up, Terry.
Stand up to say, I don't really have a presentation for you.
Perfect.
I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay,
but
sit down then.
project-
So I have a question, Nash, sorry. When we start talking about the Met Council, and we start talking about net lots per acre, does this fit within, when we need 3.3 units per acre to fit the Met Council?
Across the
Standards?
across the whole city, ultimately you need a minimum of 3 units per net acre. However, your comprehensive plan categorizes land use in different density categories, and a large portion of this site is guided as low-density residential, which goes all the way down to 2 units per acre. So we've reviewed their density as sort of a blended density across the whole site. The northern part of it is medium density, and the southern part is low density.
Okay.
And
Say that
across-
again, the northern part is high density, medium density.
Medium density, and the southern part is low density. And it's not quite where that east-west road is
Sure.
coming through as the boundary, but somewhere in that vicinity. And it does meet it across the entire site.
Got it, okay.
So Cindy, when you're saying that that's overall citywide, that 3 per acre, with Carver Crossing, we have exceeded that at this point, haven't we?
No,
Okay, as a percentage ratio-wise, we have not.
you have not. That's some information I have, and I could send to you after the
Yeah,
meeting.
I don't expect you to have.
You're actually not very high above the 3
Right.
units per acre, even with Carver Crossing going in. And Carver Crossing itself was blended similarly to how this is being blended, but it was blended with the single-family neighborhood to the west. And so that whole site was supposed to be medium-density residential, and then you have to count how many units the whole site can take. And they chose to, or proposed to, do a large portion of it as single-family and then have the apartment pads.
Terry, were you planning on doing this in phases?
Yeah, in the plans, set of plans, it's described as 4 phases, but yet as we move our way through from preliminary to final, staff has asked to review that, so that part of the project isn't necessarily, or that part of the plan set isn't approved tonight. We're
Okay.
gonna revisit that phasing schedule, but it will be done in at least 4.
In the least 4? Okay. Has engineering and everybody looked at the going to flow down onto Dahlgren Road? That's a concern.
I just let it go.
That was my question, too.
Yes.
Are we still dealing with issues with the water drainage up there, or has that been rectified?
Yes.
Yes, to which
Love
one?
you. I love you.
No, so, one of the benefits of this development is it's developing the area south of Carver Crossing and south of Copper Hills First Edition. And so, it does allow for some routing of storm sewer down to Dahlgren Road. And there's some piping that the city put in on the west side of Carver Square to kind of help with some of the routing of the storm sewer here. But there is still part of the western part, or part of the blue area, that still continues to go through some natural areas down to Dahlgren Road that, will have some storm sewer ponds, et cetera, but there's still drainage that gets to Dahlgren Road that can't get to the east to our piping on the backside of Carver Square. So we have been working with Carver County. WMO is reviewing the development. We've made comments with our review that the developer will work through with the final plat and final plans.
Thank you, Dan.
Ed, sorry.
Go ahead, Christie.
I have a couple other questions. When we're talking about County Road 11 and with the traffic studies, is there going to be any change in the miles per hour, or is it going to stay what it is right now?
Yeah, I'm not anticipating a change in this area in the miles per hour. I know that, there was a recent change with the new elementary school, but we can certainly talk with county public works staff and county engineering on that question, but it just hasn't come up in our staff discussions, but we can certainly review that with them.
It's just with the school and making those left-hand turns, crossing lanes of traffic, that concerns me a little. Not that I want to go slower on the road, but it might offer some dangerous situations. I'm looking at some of the variances that are being requested by this, and I do have a question on, I guess, why we are allowing, and it seems to me that the last few developments that have come in, we have been allowing a reduction in our in our setbacks for the home building, whether I understand the villas, having small portions of villas that have a smaller side yard setback. But we have zoning requirements in place, and then it seems that in the last number of developments, we have been giving variances to all of them. And I guess if we have them in place, I think they're in place for a reason. So my question is, I understand the developer wanting to have smaller side yards. To me, it appears that it's a way to get more houses into the development. And I want the developers to be as successful as possible, but I also don't think that if we have a zoning requirement that we should be giving variances out on every development that comes in.
Is that a question? I don't think that's a question.
It's a statement, but it's also a question as to why this one is, again, being, I guess the Planning Commission had recommended that we approve this with these variances, and I would like a little explanation as to why.
Sure. So just my professional opinion is that I think every development that we've done in Carver since I've been working with you guys in 2002 has been a planned residential development, and your standards have been, the zoning standards that you have don't necessarily completely align with all of the product types that are being offered by developers. Some of those have been updated over time a little bit and made smaller in some regards, but at the same time, the market has been changing quite a bit over the last 15 to 20 years, and there's just some products that aren't allowed by right in Carver without doing a planned residential development.
I would agree with that. And I'd look at my development, for instance. I have a full acre lot, and my neighbor is 35 feet away, and you couldn't do that nowadays. There's no possible way. Well, I mean, there isn't a builder that would ever build that product in Carver for the last 10 years and probably for the next 20 years. It doesn't economically make sense. And I think some of our zoning regulations with 15-foot setbacks, and I think they're, archaic is the wrong term. I think they're well-intended. I don't think they fit. Yeah, they are outdated.
You have updated them at different times over the last 15 years,
Yep.
but it's always been incrementally decreasing a little bit at a time instead of maybe creating a new category that just allows some of these products to just occur.
So without the variance, the way we have it set now, would we be in line with the Met Council 3 per acre?
Could they be? You know, we didn't review a plan that would show that. So I can't answer if there is a design that would have allowed them to be in compliance with the minimum density required in the comp plan, as well as all of the conditions of the zoning ordinance. They have quite a bit of open space on this site that they're preserving intentionally, because it's a nice feature of the development. And there would probably be ways that they could carve some of this up a little bit differently to accommodate some larger lot sizes, but maybe not wider widths, and maybe not the setback changes as well. But to try to add those lots in somewhere else would have resulted in some losses of trees that they were trying to protect and some other items.
I'm good. Thank you,
Mrs.
Cindy.
Johnson?
So this proposal's for 200 homes, and that's fewer than the previous plan that we saw, correct?
Correct.
Do you remember how many that last one was?
244.
Yeah, I was going to say 235.
I was
but-
going to say 235.
Okay. And then can you go to that slide that showed County Road 11 in more detail? And I get it that that's just proposed, but my question is that kind of acceleration lane, if you will, going north up the hill? Is that going to be, do I see that to be expanded north of White Pine Way? Because it kind of ends at White Pine Way right now.
It bottlenecks.
I think it currently kind of ends at White Pine Way right now. The intent would be for that to remain because of the hill and the acceleration needs of heavier weight vehicles. And then they have to deal with aligning all of the lanes correctly. So I think it's showing on this concept as being wider looking as you go north of White Pine Way. And some of that will be sorted out when they do the engineering design for that intersection.
Okay. Thank you, that's it.
Okay. I think we should be a little bit reticent as well from the requirements. First off, it's a state road, or sorry, county road, state aid highway. The other part of that is, I don't think there's anybody in this room that believes that Jonathan Carver Parkway isn't going to be 4 lanes sooner than later. And I think that's going to be the recommendation that the county comes back when we look at the transportation plan that we're looking at. So I think it's all feasible. Monroe, you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Thank you, Don.
Yep. Well, I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 141-17, approving rezoning and planned residential development.
There's a motion by Hank
I'll second that.
and a second by Courtney. Sorry, Ms. Johnson. Any further discussion or questions? I just have one. This went before the Planning Commission. Was it unanimous? I didn't.
It was unanimous.
It
It was
was.
a 4-0 vote.
Thank you. I couldn't. All right. Any other discussion? There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Here we go. Cal Atlantic, move it on.
And I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 142-17, approving a preliminary plat for Oak Tree.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Oh, second. All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Easy peasy. Thank you.
Move some dirt, Terry.
Yeah. Moves. All right, Mr. Merrick, moving on. City Council compensation.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The City Council has previously addressed City Council compensation. As a part of that, staff prepared a summary of area or peer cities' compensation for Mayor and Council. The cities used in that study were Belle Plaine, Corcoran, Dayton, Delano, Elko, Newmarket, Jordan, Medina, Minnetrista, Rockford, Victoria, and Waconia. The peer city average for mayor compensation was $5,372 and council $4,135. The city's current compensation is at $3,600 for the mayor, which is actually $150 per meeting, and council at $2,400 or $100 per meeting per council meeting. The city also has a provision for appointed meetings for $75 a meeting. The last increase to council pay was made effective January of 2003. The council last reviewed council compensation during the 2016 budget process. This was reviewed previously at a work session. An ordinance has been prepared, Ordinance 07/2017, which would establish council pay at $5,500 annually for the mayor and $4,500 for the city council. It would move to a kind of a salary system in essence, so you wouldn't be paid per meeting for either council or appointed meetings, but rather on that same monthly basis that council is paid on at present. The other thing of note is that the change would only, per state law, is only effective after the next general election. So the ordinance states that the pay change would become effective January 7th of 2019. Happy to answer any questions.
I just want to state that when it was in the paper, I'm actually happy about closing the gap between the mayor's salary and council's salary. Not happy about the gap, Mr. Nick, sir. I'm glad the gap is closing. Not happy that we kept the gap. Sorry, that was in the last. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add? Question?
I just want to make a comment. I think that this is good, and I'm in favor of this, but there is no mechanism for the council member who doesn't show up to meetings. They will, if we pass this ordinance, or this, if we adopt this ordinance, the council member who...
They won't be held accountable.
Yeah. Is there some mechanism we could institute to...
Percentage of council meetings you to attend or something like that? Cindy, is that what you mean? Or?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't see that as a problem. Obviously, right now it's not, but could be.
Yeah, Councilmember Monroe, we have provisions with our commissions if, a certain amount of meetings, but for the council, it's, the ultimate.
Yeah, but that's to remove them.
Correct. For council, it's just, the election is the ultimate kind of.
Well, the way our current salary is set up is if we don't attend a meeting, we don't get paid for it.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's just something I wanted to comment about. I think if you don't come to a meeting, you shouldn't be paid for a meeting.
Mr. Harris, do you know of any other cities that have a percentage or something in order for a salaried council to be paid? If they miss so many meetings that something could be deducted? Are you aware of anything?
I've not seen that done, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. I think your question is, am I aware? I'm not trying to be Dan, but the technical answer to your question is no, I'm not aware, but I'm also not aware of anything that would preclude the city from doing that if that was your decision.
Okay.
But if you're going to do that, you have to do it by ordinance.
Right. I wanted to say one other thing about this. It feels strange to, give yourself a raise, but
I'm going to interject right there. I don't think it's strange at all.
But I was going to say that From my understanding is that the council pay has not been raised in 17 years, how many years?
15, well, it'll be 16.
It last became effective in 2003, so that'd be 14 years?
Okay.
Well, it'll be 16 years when it
By the time-
actually
It'll be
gets-
16 years by the time it takes effect,
Right.
correct?
So that's a long time.
Yes, it is.
Well, and if anybody wants to do this to get rich, they can have it right now. I mean,
And my co-
I'm all for it, and
Yeah, and my comments aren't meant to derail this. I mean, I want to vote for this, but I just wanted to put that out there and see if anybody else was interested in addressing that. Maybe it's not an issue.
that might be my last vestige of goodwill of saying, don't run for this if you don't want to come up and go to meetings. I just don't think there's an avenue to do that. I think I just have to trust that whoever wants to put their name on the docket and get voted in will show up to meetings.
Well, oh, did you want to?
Yeah, where I'm coming from, this isn't something that I'm comfortable with. I ran last fall knowing what the pay was and not hoping to raise my pay 9 months into it.
Well, then vote against it.
Right. But in the past, there's been a precedence for wanting to know the reason behind votes against the majority.
Say that again?
So,
I didn't hear what that you
I
said.
didn't hear that
in the
either.
past, there's been a request for a
Oh,
question
yeah,
about
got it.
why someone votes a certain way. So
Got
I just
it.
wanted to make sure that I got my
I love that.
2 cents worth
Thank
in
you
there.
so much.
I'm here to
2
help.
cents. You know what?
Well,
If
I'd
you
like
give
to make-
yourself a raise, it's 3 cents.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 07-2017, setting city council compensation.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I would just like to say that I've been doing this a long time, and the money is not, the raise, whoever wants to do this moving forward, I think should be compensated, and I think this is a very fair way of doing it, and I'm all for it. So, any other discussion?
I just like, if anybody's in this for the money, they got the wrong idea about what goes on here. I mean, for the amount of time that we put into this, you can't put a dollar amount on it. It's a lot more than people realize, so I'm all for it.
All right, any other questions, concerns, comments? There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries.
So we'll do a roll call, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Henry,
Aye.
Councilmember Mock,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Nay.
Councilmember Monroe,
Aye.
Mayor Webb.
Aye.
Thank
Motion
you.
carries. Thank you. Moving on, City Council Communications, Monroe.
Nothing.
Johnson.
There's a Carver Business Alliance meeting this Friday, 7:30 a.m. at Cup of Carver. That's all I've got.
Mock.
I do not have anything.
Hank.
The planning commission, or the Parks Commission interviewed, and we went with Landoff? Land Forum. Mary was here tonight. It was nice seeing her again. Other than that, I got nothing.
Mr. Merrick? I just have one thing. It's probably not commonplace that we do this, but I think that the city thoughts and well wishes to Renee Stuber and her family. Does anybody have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.